I love getting inspiration from other artists. Both contemporary art and old masters inspire me in my work, allowing me to refresh my perspective. I recently visited the Life of Dalí exhibition, and while Salvador Dalí himself was quite a questionable figure to say the least, you can't deny that a lot of his work has been at the center of innovation in art. It was interesting to see the behind the scenes of his work and witness some of his artifacts firsthand. I loved seeing the old bottles of perfume he designed, glimpses of his eccentric life through an extensive catalog of photos, and his lesser-known sketches too. Since this was a place full of art and inspiration, I decided to bring along 2 of my completed art journals to flip through and look back on. I haven't opened them in months, and it's always both a daunting and exciting process. I call these my art journals because while they're technically sketchbooks, I don't sketch in them. I use them a bit differently. I try to paint or make something every day, and these art journals serve literally just as a journal, as a diary, as a visual representation of each day. And it's always interesting to look back on them and see how the pages change from one day to another. You can see and feel a different atmosphere, a different dynamic, and a different vibe altogether. This smaller journal was quite interesting to paint in because it's more of an unusual shape. Because of its horizontal positioning, it made me think twice when starting to paint. I normally paint and make art vertically for some reason, so having something horizontal allowed me to change the way I work and change my perspective and create some interesting work. It's funny how when I'm halfway through working in a journal or when I'm finishing it, I get so tired of it by the end that I don't really want to look back at it straight away, and I also feel like I have not improved or have not done much. But looking back on your work several months later after you've completed it, really serves as a reminder of how your style and how your approach to art changes through time. This bigger journal was a bit of a challenge for me because I don't typically paint large when it comes to an art journal. And I did feel pressure to use up the pages, but at the same time, staying true to my style at the time, it was quite minimalist with a lot of white space and a lot of negative space left. So I was constantly torn between the two. Should I fill up a page with paint or should I use it in a more abstract way? I tried to experiment with slightly different techniques that I'm usually used to and also used a variety of mediums in here. There's a bunch of watercolor, which I don't typically use, so it was interesting to see how I would approach it. There's my typical acrylic and acrylic ink, and there's also some oil pastels, some crayons. It's just a mix of everything really, and it feels really jumbled because that's how my mind felt at the time and how I felt about making art. Everything was just a bit of a mishmash. So while this is not a perfect art journal by any means, I'm going to keep it as a record of where I've come from and the process of these past several months and where it's led me to. Thanks for joining me on this journey through my art journals. I hope you enjoyed the flip throughs. Let me know in the comments which of the pages were your favorite, and I would also love to know how you personally use your sketchbooks or art journals.